Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari 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 Bijana Divine grace of Bhagavatam. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Jagaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namchar Shalhardas Tam Ki Jai. Prem Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Ananda Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namchar Shalhardas Prabhu Ki Jai. Prem Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the Assembled devotees. All glories to the Assembled devotees. All glories to the Assembled devotees. All glories to Divine Lotus Sita Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Sorry I'm late. My health is a little shaky, to tell you the truth. That depends on who you talk to. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It's nice if we say it in the same rhythm. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Krishna Svadamo Bhagate Dhammaganadi Bisaha Kalana Sadasham Mesha Parano Konodita Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaivam Narotama Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayat. The Bhagavatam, Mrs. Brinda's son, is arisen just after the departure of the Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied with knowledge, religion, etc. Persons who have lost their vision to the dense darkness of the age of Kali should get light out of this Purana. Before beginning our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, we should first offer respects to the personality of Badrinarayan, to the Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, the goddess of the living Mother Saraswati, the author Srila Vyasadeva, and my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. So, we are on, at least so I was informed, on the third canto, chapter 28, text 2. Are we in sync? Yep. Well, that's Krishna's mercy. Of course, everything is Krishna's mercy. It's just a matter of realizing it. Easier said than done. Today is the 26th, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So we have Zach. Bhakti Zach is in Delhi, getting ready to come back to at the Delhi temple. Should be. Well, there's a lot of loose links there. Should be in Delhi on his way back to the SanDiego temple. I think his flight is tomorrow, the 28th. Is it the 28th? Tomorrow or the 28th. And Hashigrami Prabhu and Balaram are I forget the name of the city. It's a central city in China, because they got a discount flight that takes them like a pinball machine from Delhi to Calcutta to Shanghai to this city to Hong Kong, then to Seoul, Korea. Yeah, if it doesn't go back to Calcutta, I forget. It was incredible. So we'll see what they can. But it turns out that they managed to get a few-day break, and that's we hooked him up with Giridhari Swami and Chandrasekhar, who's the GPC for China. And we have devotees, and there's a whole program going on in that city. And so they'll spend I told them, take some pictures to bring us back some pictures, you know. They won't be in dhotis chanting in Tiananmen Square, otherwise we may not see them for 20 years. But they'll be doing some books and so that'll be nice in China. So the Sanskrit is Swa Dhammacharanam Shaktya Viramach Cha Nivartanam Daival Labdina Santosha Atmavik Charanachanam Svadama Charanam Shaktya Vidamachcha Nivartanam Daiva Labdina Santosha Atmavich Charanachanam
Svedharma charanam shaktya Viramachcha nivartanam Daivaladena santosha Atmavik charanachanam Hare Krishna. Svedharma charanam shaktya Viramachcha nivartanam Devalabdena santosha Atmavich charanachanam Svedharma charanam shaktya Vidharmacharanam vidham Daivalabdena santosha Atmavik-charanachanam Svedharma-charanam shaktya Vidharmachcha nivartanam Daivalabdena santosha Atmavik-charanachanam Svedharma charanam shaktya Vidharma charanam prayatam Devalabdena santosha Atmavich charanachanam Svedharma charanam Executing one's prescribed duties. Shaktya, to the best of one's ability. Vidharmat, unauthorized duties. Cha, and. Nivartanam, avoiding. Daivat, by the grace of the Lord. Labdena, with what is achieved. Santosha, satisfied. Atmavit, of the self-realized soul. Charana, the feet. Archanam, worshipping. One should execute his prescribed duties to the best of his ability and avoid performing duties not allotted to him. One should be satisfied with as much gain as he achieves by the grace of the Lord, and one should worship the lotus feet of a spiritual master. Also, you say, one should execute his prescribed duties to the best of his ability and avoid performing duties not allotted to him. One should be satisfied with as much gain as he achieves by the grace of the Lord. And one should worship the lotus feet of a spiritual master. Purport. In this verse, there are many important words which could be very elaborately explained, but we shall briefly discuss the important aspects of each. The final statement is Atmavich charanachanam. Atmavit means a self-realized soul or a bona fide spiritual master. Unless one is self-realized and knows what his relationship with the Supersoul is, he cannot be a bona fide spiritual master. Here it is recommended that one seek out a bona fide spiritual master and surrender unto him, archanam. For by inquiring from and worshiping him, one can learn spiritual activities. The first recommendation is Svadhamma charanam. As long as we have this material body, there are various duties prescribed for us. Such duties are divided by a system of 4 social orders, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. These particular duties are mentioned in the Shastra and particularly in Bhagavad Gita. Svedharma charanam means that one must discharge the prescribed duties of his particular division of society faithfully and to the best of his ability. One should not accept another's duty. If one is born in a particular society or community, he should perform the prescribed duties for that particular division. If, however, one is fortunate enough to transcend the designation of birth in a particular society or community by being elevated to the standard of spiritual identity, then his swadharma, or duty, is solely that of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The actual duty of one who is advanced in Krishna consciousness is to serve the Lord. As long as one remains in the bodily concept of life, one may act according to the duties of social convention. But if one is elevated to the spiritual platform, he must simply serve the Supreme Lord. That is the real execution of Swadharma. Om Ganatimadandasya Gyanagena Salakaya Jakshushin Militangena Tazare Shri Gurave Namaha. So the great, to be satisfied. Because if you think about it, if one's actually satisfied, then he becomes peaceful. People are trying to become satisfied. They think more and more and more, throwing fuel on the fire, this will make me satisfied. They want to become satisfied. That's the goal. They're just thinking more and more, somehow or other I'll hit the saturation point. But Srila Prabhupada, speaking in Dallas, to the purpose of the Gurukula, which was in other words, what are the foundational principles that you want to instill in the next generation? Prabhupada asked Janardhanji, Prabhupada asked, how do you measure a person's strength? Bench press? Olympic gold medals? No, do you know? No, anyone? You're sure? That's right. Anyone want to hazard a guess? The ability to tolerate. Oh yeah, I speak as being a very impatient person. The ability to tolerate, Prabhupada said, is the measure, because then, it gels or comports nicely with the principle of being satisfied by what the Lord provides. See, there's a profound misconception. It's the cornerstone ethos of the American way that we're all self-made individuals, and by hard work and our own bootstraps, pulling ourselves up by our own endeavor, it's the American dream. That everyone can, in fact, become president. Of course, we now have an example of that. And somebody you thought could never become president. But we can build our way to the top. I came on a Korean airline, which how they eat what they eat and the way that plane smells was worse than being in the womb. But there was a big advertisement, a series of advertisements in the airport in Seoul, soulless Seoul Airport, about Disneyland, the happiest place on earth. And it said, put your troubles aside, you know? And just go to Disneyland, and there's different rides, and there's different, fantasy land. I mean, I haven't been to Disneyland since I was a kid, but I imagine it's the same format: Fantasyland, Disneyland, Wonderland, this land, Adventureland, this land, that land. So you can put your troubles aside for a certain period of time, but they're waiting for you in the parking lot. Mortgage hasn't gone away. The nagging wife or the Lothario cheating husband or the dimwit kids or the whatever it is hasn't gone away. The hectoring boss, it's all still there. The disease that's devouring our body. Hello to you. So, the four Kumaras give a nice example that deflate this idea that we are, by our own endeavor, the cause of all causes. He says, in spite of a good boat, expert engineering, an able captain, what happens? I'll give you a big hint. It starts with a T. And it was called unsinkable. Other than Dravida, anyone know? Yeah. Which, on its maiden voyage, the material nature was more than willing to accept the challenge of unsinkable. They were so arrogant, the hubris of the thing, they didn't have enough lifeboats on the thing because it'll never sink. And, yeah, well, so much for that. So in spite of a good boat and an expert captain, sometimes it sinks. In spite of an expert physician. We had a man here, Bengali, it's evidently, Pyne, P-Y-N-E, is evidently a Bengali last name. And he went in for a simple outpatient tonsillectomy. His wife went to the mall to do some shopping. Kane was going to come back and pick him up in 3 hours and drive him home. They nicked the wrong thing, and she came back and he said, well, he died on the table. This happens all the time. All kinds of far-out things happen. My favorite, which I've mentioned, but somehow other people don't catch the irony of it, but is the man in El Cajon who was killed by the lime green bowling ball, fell out of the sky. Hit the guy right in the chest in El Cajon. Lime green, it said in the newspaper. Somebody sent it to me.
What's the item?
Well, did he walk out in the morning expecting to be hit by a lime green bowling ball? Fly, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's a bowling ball. Anybody curious where the bowling ball came from? I certainly was. There was a man flying from this brown field here, Gillespie Field, Brown Field, whatever it is, his private plane. He was going to a bowling convention in Las Vegas. And somehow or other, his plane started to lose, one of the engines cut out, or for something. So he was trying to throw everything out of the plane, ballast, trying to glide in. And one of the things he threw out was his bowling ball, and somehow the bag opened, and hit some guy right in the chest. Now, he certainly didn't wake up in the morning as he was having his bowl of oatmeal thinking, well, better dodge that bowling ball. So, what other examples? They don't give the bowling, but in spite of a good parents, the kid goes bad sometimes. Just you get a bad seed, or whatever it is, And the inverse is also true. You get people who, somehow or other they're shipwrecked and they manage to float 6,000 miles in an inner tube and land up in Australia alive. I mean, it happens. Far out things happen. There was this guy, because it's is this being recorded? Well, because I started, I should finish. But, just the sad irony of the thing, there was a guy who survived that shooting in Las Vegas. And I saw this because I was, in the waiting lounge. They've got where you're waiting for the plane, they've got a television going. This guy survived that mass shooting in Las Vegas. Miraculously, people died all around him. And he went to visit a friend who was shot in the hospital and was killed with a hit-and-run accident. Outside the hospital. Smack! So, and people are sometimes they're miraculously saved, sometimes they're unexpectedly, inexplicably killed. Sometimes, Beethoven, I think, was the 13th child or 16th child of an unwed mother. Yeah. Yeah, and he turned out, materially, he produced some of the most beautiful music that ever has been heard. And went deaf himself towards the end. So, there's all kinds of ironies in this world. In spite of as I think it's Shakespeare, in spite of the best laid plans of mice and men do oft go astray. So there's another factor. Anyone who's just, if you're an economist or a physicist or a mathematician or whatever it is, there's another factor here, because if everything lines up, you should get this result. And why these wild disparities? Because there's the unseen hand of karma and destiny and what we did in a past life. And also what's good for us. What is it, the Chinese, I'm thinking of the time. There's the Chinese farmer who his horse gets out of the corral and runs off into the forest. His friends say, very, very bad, very, very bad. He says, maybe good, maybe bad. Lo and behold, the horse meets another wild horse, a lady friend, and brings the lady back. All of a sudden, that farmer's got 2 horses. Very good. Neighbors are congratulatory. Farmer says, maybe good, maybe bad. His son gets on the horse, tried to break the horse, adult son, teaching it to be, so it can be ridden. Throws him off, the boy breaks his leg. Very, very bad. Very, very bad. All the neighbors chime in. What does our farmer say? Maybe good, maybe not. King's army comes marching through. They're drafting all the young men to go fight off in the war. Boy's got a broken leg. They won't take him. Very, very good. So it goes back and forth like this, So we don't... healthy humility of our place in the universe and how much influence we actually have. Now, this can careen off into what Rabindra Sarup calls creatureliness, that the living entity just feels, for I am a wrathful and vengeful God, from the Old Testament, smiting and smitten? Smoted? Smitten has a new meaning now, that cupidity and smitten.
There's all different forms of the same word.
Smite, smote, smitten?
Is present tense, smote is past tense, smitten is past participle.
Yeah, so, he's always throwing thunderbolts and smiting, turning people into pillars of salt and this and that. So, and the sense that God is very, very great. You have this. You have it in, no offense, and I don't know how today's my big day for offending everybody, but, in certain schools of Islam, and to be fair, well, I'll say it first, you can't even have if you were to even imagine the form of God, your head would explode. Therefore, you can't have any image of God. Any image of God doesn't do justice to God, and you can't conceive of it. And to try to, and Christians say graven image, and you get those Christian tracts that God has no face, and it looks like Lincoln Memorial, and you're this little, don't smite me. And you have it even in some South Indian temples. You have on one hand it's Aishwarya Bab, it's very impressive, but you have the long columns. And you sight down, and there in the back is the, Vishnu lying down or something, and you feel very small and insignificant, as we are, but it can be crippling. So, but a healthy humility of understanding our place in the universe. One man said, stood up in class in Detroit, "Oh, Prabhupada, I'm the most fallen, I'm the most this, I'm the most that." Prabhupada said, actually, we're not the most anything. Please sit down. And, Prabhupada in his sweet Vaishnava humility included himself in that, but we're really not, certainly speaking for, you're all saintly persons, no doubt about it, but, So there's the sense of helpless creatureliness, insignificantly being buffeted by the forces of the universe. And then there's the arrogant John Wayne, I'm going to grab the bull by the horns and both are wrong. They don't work. They're not, they're not successful models. But if one understands, what is it, Isha Vashidam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagat Jam Jagat Tena Taktena Bunjitaha Magridha Kasaswidanam, that one recognizes that, okay, what God has given me due to my past activities, and there's another reason that God gives things to us. When Krishna defeats Nanda Maharaj about the Indra Puja. That, God, Indra, if you act properly, the demigods have to, it's karma mamamsa, that it works like a machine, but actually it doesn't work like a machine. In fact, sometimes, especially for Vaishnavas, for a little offense, we may get a heavy, heavy reaction. Krishna is one of the devotees, it's off track, but it's kind of sweet. It was R. Mukunda Dutt, so I think it's a valid statement. I'm looking for the Shastra for it. But Krishna can be hard as a thunderbolt, soft as a rose. Of course, we have that about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but also Krishna can be like that when he leaves the gopis and different things. So Krishna can be harsh. And therefore we play to Radharani, because Radharani also has experienced that when he abandoned all the gopis and left Vrindavan. So she can relate to the angst of the living entity, feeling that, that she's softer. So that we pray to Radharani to please, you will make your appeal to your Krishna. But the point I was trying to make was that Krishna can also, the karma for the devotees happens for a number of reasons. It's not just mechanical that we worked. Okay, Prabhupada said that John Lennon, maybe it was the Beatles and Toto, I don't know, but they were very generous in charity in a previous life, and especially to the arts, especially to music. You might have Prince von whatever and funded different, works of art, and they came back in their next life, or some life somewhere down the line, as very wealthy musicians. They got a special skill with music. But for devotees, there's another, and for everyone actually, there's another reason that karma. Otherwise, it's just, what is it in the Old Testament? An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, and it just grinds on. The wheel of justice grinds slowly, but the wheel of justice turns slowly, but grinds infinitely fine. Everybody, it just grinds. Everybody gets what they deserve, and it's mechanical. You can see the gears moving. No, there's another reason for karma. What's the other? Otherwise, what is the purpose of the whole thing? What is the purpose? What is the Latin root of the meaning of the word education? To draw forth, no, you're right, actually. To draw forth, to bring out, as from darkness into light. So the whole purpose of this world is to help us realize, wait, who am I? Where have I come from? Why am I suffering? Is this all going on by chance? The either-or question? Either there is a cause or there isn't a cause. If there's no cause, it's all random, then just enjoy and die soon and leave a good corpse. Otherwise, it's, who is it, Hobbes? Brief, nasty, brutish, and brief? Short. I like to use the B's. So beastly, brief, and whatever it is, brutish. That's all life is. Is it? Or, so either or. And if there is a transcendental purpose, cause, then the only purpose in life is to find out that cause and to align myself with that cause and to get out of this place. It is a transcendental Lord, there's a transcendental dimension. And this place is certainly not transcendental. Let me get out of here. So, because we're running up against the time factor, one who understands that actually everything is owned and controlled by the Supreme Lord, and I am given a quota due to my past activities. One who has that philosophical understanding, that person becomes tolerant, becomes peaceful, becomes happy, becomes satisfied. It doesn't come by madly chasing, by trying to escape by going to Disneyland or your own chemical Disneyland. And it doesn't come by trying to climb to the top of the pile. Do kids still play King of the Hill? We used to play that when I was a kid. They play it virtually. But if some other opposing force doesn't knock you off, time will knock you off. My favorite line in poetry: do not go gently into that long good night, but rage, rage, rage against the dimming of the light. I think it's from, who was that? Lush. No, I think it's the Irish Lush. Dylan Thomas. I could be wrong. But you can rage, rage. He's talking about getting old. Do not go gently into that long good night, but rage, rage, rage against the dimming of the light. You can rage till hell freezes over. The light's going out, my friend. You know, you're going down for the count. So, the Prabhupada was here for the bicentennial. Completely off the track, but sweet. Prabhupada, the dome of the Temple of Vedic Planetarium, Prabhupada was thinking about it anyway. But when he saw the Capitol dome over the U.S. Capitol, he had Yadavar take pictures of the Capitol dome and send them to Sarabi, as the Sarabi Prabhu, and later on Maharaj, as the design for the TOVP. Prabhupada liked that. Of course, because if it's dome, then you can put under it the whole structure of the universe, and I don't want to speculate on Prabhupada's reasons, that he also liked the aesthetics of the thing. So that was Prabhupada's visit. He got the dome of the TOVP out of it. But there was all this hullabaloo about the Declaration of Independence, and Prabhupada gave a fantastic talk, which was printed in Back to Godhead magazine. I think they had some on the cover, devotee in a fife and, you know, whatever, and they, in the patriotic, huh? Acha. Thank you very much. And it was called Declaration of Dependence.
Declaring a dependence on God.
Depending our dependence on God. That's just common sense. If I declare, suppose, you know, the lack of oxygen, pressurized cabin, and my inherent arrogance combined, and I sat down here and said, I am an independent, self-made individual. I will no longer depend on air. You know, you're like, well, okay, maybe he's been practicing, you know, what is it, free diving, when they hold their breath? How long can free divers go? Anyone know?
70 minutes.
Huh?
70 minutes.
70? I don't think so. 17. They might be able to go. That's probably the record. 17. Really?
Yeah, that's the guy from New York, he can do more.
Okay, but anybody doing 20? Anyone doing 25? You know, and the average person, I don't know, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, if that, you know. So to acknowledge our dependence on air is not a sign of weakness. Rather, to declare I'm not dependent on air, it's a sign of madness, isn't it? You'd think, well, the Swamiji has finally snapped his cap. We knew it was coming. He's finally flipped his lid, you know. Oh, Krishna. So the recognition of the dependence on Krishna, and that, just for fun, I looked up the word, because the preyas and shreyas, that this human form of life is not just to, you know, escape your troubles and, you know, try to dig your way out of a hole. But it's, as I said, why am I suffering? Who am I? Where have I come from? Is there something beyond this? Is there a design? If there's a design, there's a designer. If there's a design, wherever you see order and symmetry, pattern, there's design. Wherever there's a design, there's a designer. Wherever there's a designer, there's a purpose. So what's the purpose? You know, ask. So, and therefore the Vedic human life is meant for shreyas, long-term benefit. And Krishna says the same in Bhagavad Gita, happiness in the mode of passion. Sweet in the beginning, bitter in the end. And happiness in the mode of goodness, and of course we're talking about Sudasattva, purified goodness, is happiness is a little bitter. Tapasya, it's a little tough. So man up, have a backbone. You know, understand the purpose of human life. Stand and fight. Krishna says to Arjuna, what does he say? Armed with yoga or knowledge, as he says. Then what does he say? What do you do about it? Go home and whimper to your mother or complain about you can't get up for Mangalartik? What does he say? Armed with yoga, stand and fight. Stand up and fight. Be a man. Jewish, be a mensch.
Yeah.
So Krishna says, be a yogi. Stand and fight. What else are you going to do? Sooner or later, you're going to come back again. You're going to keep coming back. I tried to get out of being the temple commander in Detroit. I wanted to do books. By Krishna's grace, I wanted to do books. I'm not going to work you over, Damodar Kumar. Don't worry. We love that you're doing books. But I was doing books, and they wanted me to be the temple commander. I did not want to do it. I didn't like dealing with all the anxiety. It wasn't that I was a great exalted person. I was just self-centered. I didn't want to do it. So I tried to get out of it. I got somebody else to do it. He blooped. I trained somebody else to do it. He got married and joined the Marines. I don't know what happened, this or that, I kept trying to get out of it. Krishna kept putting me back in it. And one day the light went on and I thought, you know what? Maybe Krishna wants me to do this. Maybe there's something I'm supposed to learn. Maybe this is for my betterment, my spiritual improvement, my spiritual growth. Maybe I should forget about what I want, what pleases my senses and my false ego, and maybe I should do what Krishna and my spiritual master are asking me to do. I mean, besides, it's a pretty basic realization, but it took me a while to get there. I'm still working on it, Maybe I should just do what Krishna wants me to do. Maybe that will make me happy. So that's what this verse is talking about, that one learns that art of let me do what Krishna... Then you become satisfied. Lo and behold, everything you're chasing after, you become satisfied, you become peaceful, you become compassionate, you have empathy with all living entities. You get a cornucopia, you open a treasure chest far beyond what you could imagine. By that simple, let me be satisfied with what Krishna sends. It's good for me. I meant to learn. If I don't have what I need, maybe I meant to learn a lesson. And if something gets dropped on me I didn't want, well, gee, maybe, what is it? Sometimes the karmis come up with some good things. And a guy told me, I was on the plane, and we were talking naturally, and he said, difficult things are not meant to, sent by God. He was a theist. Difficult things sent by God are not meant to make us bitter. They're meant to make us better. And I thought, gee, now that's really, well, here it is, I'm quoting it. It was a nice sutra. It's not a misprint. Instead of bitter, better. Why, like King Lear on the moor shaking one's fist, or, Jonah in the whale, or whatever it is, why me, God, No.
Raging against that?
Or Dylan Thomas, No, that one thinks, all right, Krishna, you've sent this. It's for my betterment, not to make me bitter. Okay, so I want to say one last thing, and I promise we'll end. Well, you've heard that one before. Prabhupada talks here, and he underlines it. He uses the word for word is shaktya, which talks about to the best of one's ability. Now, I took that two ways, and Prabhupada said each word can be elaborated, so I thought I'd take one word, and Prabhupada's closing line in the purport, so I thought, well, I'll take that one word and at least offer my gloss on it. On one hand, it is a message of hope to the best of one's ability, that you can please Krishna. We just try. It's not the quantity, it's the quality. And Krishna says, Patram pushpam palam toyam, that you just try to please me. Whatever you've got. Prabhupada, there's that wonderful purport, I don't know where it is, I'm sure Dravida can help me, and maybe I heard it in a lecture, but Prabhupada talks about how to greet a guest. And there should be a Shania band, there should be intoxicated elephants drinking rose water. I'm elaborate, I don't think Prabhupada says that. But you should offer nice food, a nice sitting place, so sweet words, so many things you should do. And if you can't do that, all right, you can't offer, you can offer some simple fruit, vegetable, If you can't do that, you can offer a glass of water, isn't it? And a mat, and some sweet words. And Prabhupada said, any gentleman will be satisfied. A glass of water, a little straw mat, and sweet words is the grease that turns the wheel. So you're actually happy to see them. And Prabhupada said, somehow or other, if you can't offer a glass of water, a grass mat to sit on, or any kind of clean sitting place, a cloth, Prabhupada says you can then, because you're in such a pitiable situation, you can fold your hands and cry. And any gentleman will accept. And it's true. You think about it. Somebody, what can I do? And you can see that they sincerely try, and you're satisfied. So Krishna is satisfied to the best if we try to the best of our ability. So Krishna can be pleased in any condition, in any situation, with any small service. We were walking in Detroit. It was a gift. I was the president of the Ann Arbor Temple, and we gave the Detroit Temple as a fun gift when they moved and installed Radha Kunja Bihari, moved them from their old temple. We gave them a pair of peacocks. It was nice, I thought it was I'd do it again. And I can tell you a few stories about those peacocks. But one thing the peacocks did is they passed stool on the walkway. And Prabhupada took his walk. One of his walks, he took, you're just circumambulating and walking through because it was about a nice compound, and there was good walking, and Prabhupada would walk. So Prabhupada, typical, didn't miss a thing. Prabhupada swung his cane. What is this? One of the peacocks had passed stool on the stone, and Prabhupada said, from the, I'm a little tired, from the Guruvastakam, that you can, cleansing the temple. What is the Sanskrit? Marjanam, Dira Marjanam? Yeah, cleansing the temple. So Prabhupada made a nice analogy, of course. Stone, the deity on one hand, we know the deity is Brahman and, Krishna himself, Archa Vigraha. But on one hand, you can go to Jaipur and see them carving deities. So stone, Prabhupada said, whether you're bathing the deity or you're cleansing the stone walkway, it is the same on the absolute platform. Krishna is not that, I'm a pujari and I'm dressing the deities, and the little guy who's out there scrubbing the walkway trying to make it as nice and clean. Krishna, the Brahman who's in the temple worshiping gets all, and the guy out there simply scrubbing to the best of his ability. No. Krishna may be more pleased with the guy scrubbing the walkway. So to the best of our ability, it's one of the sweet ethoses or I don't know what it driving forces of the spirit of bhakti. Now, to the best of our ability means we should, the other side of the coin, and this is the only other thing, the last thing I'm going to say, is we should give it our all. It doesn't mean to the best of our ability, okay, we had a devotee, I will not mention the name, still around, you can guess who, and it wasn't Abhi, offered Krishna this, one of those bhaji, is it called? It's the whole wheat. It's the chapati dough, just water, not even salt, that Sanatana Goswami used to offer to Madan Mohan. So one of our devotees offered, just this little dry, and they're dry. Even Madan Mohan said, at least a little salt, So one of our devotees, said, and I said, don't speculate. Krishna says, Raj Bhog is there. You offer chapatis or puris or parathas or, don't offer this, it was good as Sanatana Goswami. First off, are you on the level of Sanatana Goswami? First off, let's talk about that. Let's talk about you're so engaged in writing transcendental literature and excavating the holy dham that you don't have time to roll chapatis. Okay, okay, fine. Then you're in the league. But even then, that's all he had. And therefore, Krishna accepted. I said, we got a whole walk-in full of stuff. Got all these bins, and you're making some dry ball? Come on. And quoting Sanatana Goswami to me? Again, showing my lack of passion. You can see my patience. You can see the tone of voice. But the point is, give it our all. Krishna's pleased with whatever we have, but what pleases him is that we gave it our all to the best of our ability. Whatever we're doing, whether we're scrubbing, whether we're cleaning, whether we're speaking, whether we're bathing the deities, we're fixing Krishna's car, talk about Jayananda. If we give it our all, then samsiddhi haritoshanam, Krishna becomes pleased. And if you water the root of a tree, the whole tree is nourished. If we simply think, Prabhupada wrote me a letter. I was fault-finding. Prabhupada first off pointed out bees and flies, which was a good punch in the nose. Some people are like bees, some people are like flies. And bees, what is the nature of flies? They're always looking for something nasty, right? So Prabhupada said some people are like flies. They're always looking for some fault to find out that, And where do the flies live? Nasty, in the garbage heap and the stool. Now the bees, what are the bees looking for? Yeah, sweet, can't be beat. What a taste them 2 lotus feet. They're looking for something sweet. So, and where do the bees live? Nice flower garden, nice lotus. So Prabhupada was pointing out, we are just about as happy as we determine we want to be. Just about as happy as we determine we want to be. If we train the mind, Prabhupada was telling me, you train the mind to be like a bee, you'll always be happy. You look for the good qualities in others. You look, then you'll be happy. Otherwise, you'll be like a fly. No one will want to be around you, and you'll live in a nasty place. And Prabhupada said, in the beginning, we have to make adjustments. Brahmachari wants to get married. The householder wants to take sannyas. The sannyasi wishes he'd gotten married. The whole wheel is turning. Everybody thinks the guy next to him's happy. But if the measure of our happiness is Krishna's pleased, is Krishna happy? Samsiddhi haritosham, to the best of our ability, whatever we've got, we tried to please Krishna. Lo and behold, we become happy. So we can end there. That's the simple point being made in this verse. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Sorry we're over time, but we started late. Hare Krishna. It was Suki. You know it was Suki. Did he do it?
Yeah, for about almost 2-3 weeks he was doing that.
Anyway. I mean, I'm sure with Suki, there was bhakti there, because he wasn't just doing it because he was lazy.
You probably added some salt, but that would make it.
Huh?
You probably put salt in it, but
Probably put a little dish of salt next to it. And Krishna's sense of humor, a salt merchant built the temple.
yeah. Well, when you get going there, we didn't notice any health problems. You had something somehow we ended up too dark.
No, it's nice. Krishna's mercy.
Bob?
You look like a sadhu. He's been coming every morning. Good for you. Nice to see you.
Would you like an update on the bus?
I would, but can I get it some other time? Because I've got to get over to my... What's the story? Is it working, not working?
Well, it's all the structural, there's more structural damage than we thought, but it's all done.
Acha.
Everything is, all the panels are riveted back on.
Do we owe you money?
No.
How did it get taken care of?
I took it.
But we don't want to take advantage of your kindness.
Oh, I know, but you have to. I do.
Otherwise somebody else will.
That's my pet. There you go. That's my duty.
So is Tirthamarj happy? So what are we going to do
I
now?
haven't talked to him. My guess is it's going to end up at the farm for storage. Which breaks my heart, but
See, the problem is, if we had a few more brahmacharis and a good driver, the problem is we don't have a good driver. That's one problem.
I can drive it. That's not an issue.
So try to get up.
Because if we took that thing out once or twice a week out to OB and had programs, we'd have so much fun and we'd make devotees.
Yeah.